This is a special episode by Camo.
The Ultimate Deck Podcast. Need a show about outdoor living? This is where it's at with your hosts, Shane Chapman and Way Laurent. Thank you for tuning in. Now let the show begin. Yeah. The Ultimate Deck Podcast. Let's go.
Well, Wade,
we made it.
With
some trying.
It was a bit of an episode to get down here.
Where are we?
And we'll save that story for another day. Mount Pleasant, Texas. You been before?
It's the first time for me.
First time for you?
Like I was here yesterday.
Yeah. If somebody
it
would have
won't be the
told me
last time, I don't think. Like, I don't have any plans to come down here again, but...
Oh, you don't remember what you did last night. They won't let you back. It's over
That's
for
not
you.
true. It was super, low-key last night for me. It was really good.
I was fairly impressed that you ended up in bed at the same time as me.
Most
Same bed
people.
even. It's like, hey, we had to spend an extra night in hotels and car rental was lots. Let's just share a bed.
Yeah.
So we got here and they had canceled our hotel rooms too,
man.
just to be like the last event in what was a tumultuous 2 days of travel. We get here and we're like, we're here to check in finally. They're like, well, you don't have rooms. Yeah, of course you don't. See you later. So
What do you have for rooms? Well, we have 3. Okay, 3 or 4 it is.
Yeah.
Shane and I will share a room. The other guys can have their own.
yeah.
So.
But it was fantastic. They gave us like one of their like accessibility handicap rooms, whatever. There was
Those things
there
are
was some leg room in there. So
There was easily 10 feet between the beds.
yeah, we could have just brought in 4 more cots and everybody could have stayed with us. It would have been fantastic. Anyways, we're down here. We've talked about it a little bit before, in the last couple of episodes about we were heading to Texas. It was going to be great. We were going to this, I called it a steel versus steel event. They tell me it's more collaborative than that, but I don't believe them. Now that I'm here, I extra don't believe them. Steel sharpened steel event down in Mount Pleasant, Texas at Extreme Backyard and what is this place called? Extreme
it's a long-
Backyard and Beyond. That was it. Yeah, I knew there was more to it. And it's been fantastic so far. We got to the party a little bit late, but things are flying here. There's lots of people and lots of vendors, lots of contractors, lots of action happening here. So it's been fun.
Yeah.
But today we've got a couple gentlemen from National Nail, the Camo division of National Nail, with us to talk about Camo and some of your products and your going-ons and maybe your travel tips. If you could share how you make that go smoother with us.
Yeah.
We've got James Gunning the Gunner, the National Sales Director at Camo, as well as Greg Grubachman. And
You nailed it.
yeah, that was it, right? You used all of the letters except for the ones that are actually in my name on that. Gruenhout, is that how we're saying that
is
today?
correct, yeah.
Well, that'll work for this morning. Product Manager at Camo. So welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I'm actually curious. How was your trip down here?
My trip was fantastic. I had no snafus, but James had a bit of an issue. So
Yeah, mine was a little eventful as well. My wife jinxed it right from the beginning when she said, "I'm surprised you're not taking the first flight out this morning." And I'm like, "Oh, I'll be fine." And flight got
this.
delayed.
I travel all the time.
Ended up getting canceled, so I went back home that day and got up first thing in the morning and tried it a day later. So
And that worked for you.
finally made it. So I was a little late. Didn't get here for the Monday dinner, but made it here Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, that sounds like the story for half the people here. Is like, when did you get here? A couple hours ago, actually, and we're leaving tonight.
We were pretty grumpy that we had missed the start of it as well, but then as we're stuck in the airport or trying to get down here, we're in a group chat with a bunch of different people, and it's like, this flight was canceled, and this guy's flight was canceled, and this guy's now driving, and it was like, okay, well, we're not the only ones, right?
Kind of everybody's story.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So you guys wanted to be part of this event. This like Ashley, the owner of Extreme Backyard and Beyond, he's not just a steel guy. There's some wood decks going in here as well, but the event is really focused around these 2 steel frame options from Newcastle Steel and Fortress Evolution Steel framing. And there's a lot of curiosity because it's kind of gaining traction in the market a little bit. There's been, and also Newcastle, they purchased that product and they've made some changes from what it used to be, and people are curious, well, what does it look like now and how does it compare to the other system? And there's not really been an event or a place where you could kind of compare them side by side yet. So this has been fantastic because from the ground up, the time that the first bolt goes into the concrete out there, you can see how these 2 systems come together and then evaluate, and they're 14 feet from each other. So if you're like, well, this looks kind of funny. Oh, I like this one better. Oh, whatever. They're sharpening each other here is what's actually happening. So that's been fantastic. Camo has kind of been, I would say, a integral piece of the adoption of the steel framing because one of the most common questions we get as stocking dealers of Fortress Evolutions framing is, okay, cool, but how do we get a fastener for it?
put
It's
it
like,
down? Yeah, sure.
well, it's
Yeah.
these ones on the shelf. This is also available, and it works great with this system. And so you guys kind of were there for that when steel started to pick up steam. So tell us a bit about the Camo X metal fastener. And how
So our edge clip system launched a few years ago now. So we're in our third season, I believe, with the edge clip system. And one of the first things that we did with that clip system is made it available to alternative substructure, right? So for the steel framing that's going in, we have a specific screw, a self-drilling screw for that same clip. So you get the same fast, easy installation, strong holding power that you get with the whole edge clip system in the Edge X metal clip. And so that was important for us. We thought, and as we looked out at steel framing and what was going on in the marketplace, and we're seeing the growth there, it was really a place where we wanted to lead and help people build better. And so that was our whole initiative. And Fortress has been, outstanding in support of our fastener and letting people know this is the way to go. If you're putting decking down, and we don't even care what kind of decking is going down. It doesn't have to be Fortress. It can be any kind of decking, right? But if you're using our
you
framing,
don't care.
well, I think one of the nice things about them, they obviously care about their decking brand, but they wanted the experience to be great no matter what was going on their framing, right? So that was one of the first things that they kind of pushed out, and so been a great partner for us in growing that together as a steel frame fastener. So it's been awesome.
I think it's awesome because the reason that Fortress Evolution looks the way it looks is that they really tried to replicate the experience of installing wood. They didn't want it to feel too different for carpenters who are generally working with wood to be able to kind of grab it, figure it out, and go. Hence the full tube steel, it feels like a 2x6 and everything.
Yeah, it just opens up a whole market of people that are typically used to working with wood, right?
Yeah. And so the nice thing is that you guys, your clip is, aside from the threading and the cutter on the screw, is exactly the same as the clips that they're using already, which they fell in love with a couple of years ago anyway.
Yes.
They're already using it. Their existing tools work with it. It's it takes us extra half second to start this clip or screw, but that's the only difference.
Yeah, I think, and a lot of the guys that have come down here are here to learn about moving their business from just a wood frame to that steel framing, because with the products that are out there on the deck top, you've got those 30, 40-year products still being installed on a 8 to 10-year substructure, and that's a problem. And I think that's one of the things steel is solving. So for those guys that want to build better and offer better solutions to their customers in terms of steel framing, they're learning here. And like you said, for the steel frame and with the deck fastening that goes on there, they can easily move from what they've already been using, which is the edge clip, into that Edge X metal clip. Same installation process. Like you said, the only learning curve there is it takes a little bit longer to engage with steel. You're of course tapping that steel for the first time, and so that makes it an easy transition for them to move on. And the other parts of our system that make the deck installation easier, like the lever tool, which can clamp the boards for them, and then of course the drive and the clip drive tool, which we launched this year, just makes that installation all the easier, gets them up off their knees, makes them up to 5 times faster with the deck board. So, and like you said, it's an easy learning curve from them to go to edge clip to Edge X metal. So
this whole gamut of products that you guys do, that's kind of your wheelhouse. That's the division of the company that you manage.
Right.
Accurate to say? So what does your day-to-day look like? Are you guys constantly in the room thinking how do we beat ourselves? What's the next thing we're doing with this?
I think, and James can comment on this too, but from an innovation standpoint, the first thing we do rather than sit in the room is go to events like this. So this is a fantastic event to get in front of builders that are actually putting the stuff together, right?
Yeah.
And so being able to learn, because that's where innovation really comes from, is what are their pain points? What are they trying to get done? What are they suffering through right now that we can make easier for them? And so that's the first part of learning what's available to us to kind of grow towards. And so I think that's important. And so then we sit in a room and our engineers can start to design some prototypes of things that we think will be a solution for those. But that's where it all begins. It's events like this.
Yeah, we learn so much at these events because we like to sit back and go, okay, what's this contractor doing right now, right? And even something as quirky as like, hey, I'm grabbing this fastener or this tool from a certain way, and he's moving his body a certain way, and we're looking at that going, well, why are you doing it that way, and is it comfortable, and does that create pain for you? And we just want to problem solve. And so to be invited to these types of innovative meetings to truly just dig in and ask questions on trying to make the contractor's life a little easier, right? And I'd say that's National Nail's strength.
You learn so much in addition to exposing our product to the builders that haven't tried steel framing before, just the aspects of building steel and what other opportunities are there to make that easier for them. It's all new, right? So we're learning while they're learning. And there's other types of fastening that go on with steel, right? And they do it with screws. And so what aren't we taking part in on that type of a build? And what other aspects? So deck boards going down, one after the other, and with the clip fastener is one aspect of that. But what are they doing in terms of stair treads? And what are they doing in borders and breaker boards? And how are they fastening all aspects of the deck and fascia board? What's the opportunity there? Because,
magnets.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the opportunity.
Exactly, yeah. Magnetic holding power could be the opportunity.
James, you mentioned that you guys like to watch and see how a contractor's moving and what he does. Did you notice a difference from yesterday to today with how they're moving out there?
Yeah, a little sluggish today. A little sluggish.
Rotation in the hips a little bit
might have been
less.
some liquid courage last night. They're a little more, free-willing to use some tools with guards off of them. I saw some tools that had some tape around the triggers and a couple safety guards off. But yeah, they're a little sluggish. Confident, but sluggish.
Yeah. Better hope it gets done today because tomorrow,
No chance.
no chance. You mentioned clip drive being a new product, but I want to roll back a little bit further because the clip drive is kind of, I don't know if I'd call it a generation 2 product, but it's not the first one that does what it does. It's just kind of an evolution, I guess. Yeah. I've heard the story before because I've visited you guys before and I've heard the story about how the Camo drive tool came to be, but maybe others haven't. So why don't you start there with how did you guys, because if nobody's used this tool before, doesn't know what we're talking about, this tool allows you to get up off your knees and walk around your deck, dropping the screws down as you go. And the whole system allows you to kind of lay out all your decking before you even worry about putting down one screw, clamp it with a lever, and then walk out. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous how much more efficient and easier on the body it is. So where did the whole idea for this come from?
So you mentioned second generation. So in sorts it is, we started with a tool called our drive tool, which also did clips from a standing position. So from that operation, this isn't a whole lot different. We've modified the new tool to be just a clip installation tool. The drive tool incorporated collated fasteners or clip fastening, so you could do really 3 different types of applications with the drive tool. Connects to your own drill, and you can do edge fastening, which is where Camo launched its initial product line was in the edge fastening realm. It can also do face fastening. So for the guys that are still doing it old school, and they want to put a bugle head screw down, or even a composite screw, a color matched composite screw with composite decking, that tool allows them to do that and do it from a standing position. So taking that collated aspect of it and a bunch of different types of fastening and putting it into one tool. The opportunity, I think, with clip drive is something that's really more in tune to the guys that we see here today that are really primarily just doing groove composite or groove PVC types of synthetic boards down, and they're not doing the face screws, they're not doing maybe some wood installs. They just want a clip fastener. So we were able to bring the price down on the tool itself because it just does clip fastening.
Right.
So at retail, it's a $50 less expensive tool. So that's a great thing. It still connects to any drill. And then we optimized some of the aspects of that tool just for clip fastening that they're going to experience. We made the tool longer by about 2.5 inches. So it's a little bit more ergonomic and they don't have to stoop at all as they're driving with the tool.
Because the initial height was based off of
Yes.
James' height.
James' height, 5'1".
And everybody else was
the original one came up to my eyeballs, so I was fine with the height. But
there's a lot of short dudes out there. You could have picked anybody.
Yeah.
You had to pick the guy sitting right beside you. Yeah. With a name like the Gunner, you're going to get some of that, right?
So one of the nice things about that tool is that it'll work for the shorter builder. It's got an adjustable handle on it that they can slide up and down the actual shaft of the tool, so they can adjust it to their height. So anywhere from a guy my height, almost 6'6", to a guy at James' height. I don't know what that is.
4'2".
Yeah, it was like 4'6".
We don't want to forget about the little people. And so it's an adjustable tool. It is taller, and but the handle where you hold the tool is adjustable, so you can adjust that to your height. We also improved the nose of the tool to be a no-mar tip. So for some products, especially working in heat like we're going to see today,
Right.
which Texas is basically, I like to call it hell's front porch in the summertime. And sometimes it softens the materials a little bit. So
Right.
anytime you press anything on the surface, you could leave a brush mark or an indentation. We don't want that happening. So we improve the nose of the tool. And aside from that, it's just a fantastic tool for speed of install and ease on the body.
Yeah.
So it gets the guys really rocking on the deck top. We're gonna, I'm sure, get some great video of the deck boards going down later today.
Sure, yeah.
So-
I'm excited to see that start happening. So the changes you guys made, the 2.5 inches longer and the no mar tip and everything, did that come from events like this? Were you out there, were you getting that feedback from contractors, or were you guys aware that those things yourself were?
Yeah,
were
so
an issue?
obviously we didn't design in a tool that was too short, right, with a drive. We thought, we did the exploration then for the different types of fastening that the drive tool does, which is angled fastening as well as vertical fastening. We feel like we've got the optimal length of that tool. But for guys that are just standing on a vertical deck top with this clip drive, we learned, like you mentioned, from hearing feedback from the guys that were using it for this purpose. It's a little short. I'm stooping over a little bit. So I said, it's an opportunity for us to improve the
God, they
the
never
tool.
stop complaining. Those guys say, "Oh, my knees! Oh, you have to hurt your knees anymore. Oh, my back!" Like it just doesn't end. Now what, right?
Yeah, that's true. You're never perfect, but in the process of trying to be perfect, you can launch some pretty good things and helpful things.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. I think that's sort of the whole premise of this event, right? Is that you're just like everybody here. The intent is to make the industry better.
Absolutely.
And I think it's so fantastic when you have partners like Camo, National Nail that like actually listen. Because some people don't, right? They you give them the feedback and they're like, yeah, sounds good, thanks. But we're doing this now.
Yeah. We sat in our boardroom and we know everything, so we'll just launch what we want.
Right. yeah.
You're right,
way
though.
to
I
do
mean, these events are very important for things like this. So, I mean, I see a change coming. So I've been a part of NADRA for a very long time, and, I'm starting to get seasoned in my career, right? And I see this new fresh blood of people coming in on the decking industry that are trying to do the things that NADRA was originally set out to do, and what I think our foundation, National Nail, is, which is, really try to help, ask the questions, and save the contractors back, right? Ease their wallet a little bit, save them time and some money. And so I just see this new fresh of blood coming in events like this where they're taking deck safety to a whole new level, right?
Yeah.
And, wood is dominant. They're trying to increase their game and say, hey, well, how can I provide something different? How can I differentiate from the typical competition in my particular area, right?
Yep.
By offering something different and at a value to the customer. Yep. And we love to be a part of that.
Yeah.
You know what I think is really cool about, as you say, this kind of almost new generation of contractors coming up, is that these events are starting to happen without some organization.
Right.
Like this is not.
This happened off of a social media post, right?
Right.
Yes.
This was just all these contractors being like, let's get together and
love it.
learn together, right?
great.
And then it just spun out of control. And then the vendors are like, well, shit, we should be there. Like, what's going on here? But it's a lot different than NADRA saying, here's an official event, come
right.
to it.
That's
And
I called Ashley on this one because I started seeing some social media posts, and at that time it was 12 contractors. He's like, yeah, come on down. We'd love to have you. And I'm like, okay, I'll bring some tools. We'll figure it out. And then it turned to I think 80 contractors. So
yeah,
it's great to see.
I was up north on a fishing trip away from the world, like no cell service, no nothing, for 4 days, and we were literally in the bush plane flying back out of the bush when my phone connected, and all of a sudden, zzz, 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 which I fully expected after being 4 days away. But all these texts start popping up, and I'm just kind of glancing as it's coming up. And it's like, Texas, Jack, we're doing this shit, and Wade, and all these guys are. It's all over the place. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, I don't even have the energy to look into what this is.
Right.
So I just left it and then walked into the office on whatever day it was, my first day back. And Wade's like, you're gonna want to keep the 27th or 30th open. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was at that point, we weren't for sure coming, but it was like, here's an opportunity to get in front of all these people and let everyone tell their story. And so it was like,
so where can you think of a time, right? I've been in this industry a lot. So you look at different manufacturers, different industry within building products, right? And I really, truly can't think of a situation where you can get direct competitors into a room, right? That are friendly and cordial to each other, learning from each other, and trying to elevate the game of decking, throughout the country. And so there's a lot of people that actually were not able to attend this show. that I think are going to be in this podcast and watch some of the live events, because they are truly intrigued on how they elevate their game and differentiate them from the competition by probably adopting steel over wood and, different fasteners and such. And yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I'm glad that we did this, and this is like the first domino, I think, that falls, and it'll be interesting to see how the market shifts.
Do you guys, from National Nails perspective, does it matter to you whether wood or steel, becomes the predominant building material, or does it matter what the split ends up being? If it's 95% wood and 5%, does it matter?
I think it matters to us in terms of our tagline is build better, right? And so whether it's building better decks or building better homes or putting on better roofs or whatever the brand is under our company umbrella, we're interested in them building better. And I think we're aware of everything, and we want to have solutions for everything, but we definitely want to be able to be the go-to to give some advice to say, what we know about this is you should use this product or this, go this direction. So I think we want to capture all that business, but I think in terms of just helping the guys learn and build better products, build better decks or homes or whatever it is, that's what we're really interested in, and how we get there. So.
Yeah, Greg, why don't you tell them about our internal search for products with TEVAS?
Yeah, so we have TEVAS is a criteria, right? So it's something that anytime we do innovation, we want to run through our TEVAS criteria, and that's really experiential for the user. And are we changing the game for the user? And so I talked about building better, but in the process of building better, TEVAS is important. So the letters in TEVAS stand for something, and T is for time. And so are we making a meaningful difference for them on install time? Because time is money to builders. And time is important even to DIYers and homeowners with products.
Yes.
Because it's time they could be spending on their deck, enjoying it with their kids and their family and grilling and doing whatnot, and not installing product, or building the product. And for the builders, it's important because they can get on to that next deck project, do more decks in a year, potentially with products like these, and put more money in their pocket and do better for their families, right? And so time is important. If you're not changing the game on time, you can't check that box. You might want to think seriously about what you're launching. And so E is for easy, and that can mean easy on the body. It gets them off their knees, standing up. It's easy for them to learn. And so is it a small learning curve? A complicated product for guys like this that have crews out there working is not a good thing. It's got to be easy for them to pull in, show their crews, and they're off and running with it. So easy to do and easy to understand is really important as well. So versatility is another important one. And so are you making a product? I'll take the clip as an example. It's a very versatile product in terms it's a universal fastener. So you can use it virtually with any groove board out there as long as it's a standard type groove, which all the major manufacturers are. And so you've got a product that you can take also from a wood frame to a steel frame now, right?
Yep.
And so it's versatile in frame that you're putting it on, and it's versatile in terms of what type of board you're installing across the board. So you look at things like that in terms of tools or fasteners, making sure you've got some versatility in there. And A is for affordability, and that's a pretty easy one because there's always a tipping point on new innovation or technology or the fastener itself. It's got to be affordable. If it's not affordable and doesn't make sense in the build, they're not going to use the product. Doesn't matter how cool it is, right? So affordability is important. And the S finally is for strength, and you want to build strength into your product. So whether that's holding power for a fastener or durability in a tool, those are all important things. And to be able to go through that criteria is super important to us, and you better be able to check most of those boxes if you're launching something that you think is meaningful in the marketplace.
Yeah, I think if you check all the boxes, then you actually probably have a successful launch.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
There's been times where we've had an innovative product that doesn't meet the criteria and we shelf it.
Do you value some of those more than others? Like if a product doesn't check, if it only checks 4 to 5, do you go back to the drawing table or?
Yeah, I think you look at it and with that kind of perspective, right? Kind of depends on the product itself. And it's not always a bad thing for a company like us to have a Me Too product in the marketplace because it expands our breadth of offering, right?
Yep.
And so just because there's other products maybe similar to ours that are already there, sometimes that's okay. But I think in terms of when we put resources and marketing and everything behind an innovative and a product launch more specifically, that's where I think that TEVAS criteria really comes in, and you say you've got to check those boxes, or we're not changing the game out there. We're trying to launch a new product that people don't really want, or they don't really need, or they're not going to be able to afford it, or whatever the reason is. So it depends a little bit on the product in terms of the weight of the criteria. Yeah.
Does it make you guys, or at least your marketing team, giddy when you hear people repeating back those values to you when you talk to contractors? What do you like about it? Oh, it saves us time. It's so like
it. Yeah,
they don't cost any more than the other clips. It's easier, and you're like check.
We love to develop those raving fans, right? Those are the guys that talk about how great Camo is, and when we hear from those are the guys that really drive the message out there on Instagram or Facebook or wherever they're talking about it. They stand up for your product, out there. They're showing people how to use it. Like we've got, Scott Kelly here has been, using our product really from the very beginning, and they call him the Godfather of Steel, right? So a great guy. He's going to be out there fastening with it today. He's been a huge supporter of ours, and in talking to his peers, the guys that are here today, what are you using to fasten down boards? They didn't hear it from me. Yeah. They heard it from Scott, and they know Scott knows his stuff, right? And so the weight of that is so much more than something Camo would, maybe put out on Instagram, or something that I would talk to somebody
Certainly
about.
It has more value, right? Because when you say it, you're advertising
you
for
would
yourself.
say it.
Yeah, I'm
right?
trying to sell something, right?
Yeah.
Or that's the typical.
I know that in our store, when that clip drive system came out, or the edge clip, and then the drive tool came out, we were like, we saw it, believed in it so much that we started to try and build our own little bundle. It was like, if you buy this many dollars worth of fasteners, we'll give you the tool, because, like, to our contractors, because it was like, it's fast, you guys. You won't believe how fast it is. Mm-hmm. And so we had one contractor in particular that's a pretty slow adopter of anything new. He was just like, I do it this way. These are the clips I use. I like this system.
We're fast with it.
And I was like, yeah, but not this fast. Try it. So he buys it, goes out, does one job, came back 3 days later or whatever. He's like, can I do that again 2 more times? Because I have 2 more trailers and I want to put those tools in all my trailers. And it was like, yep.
We've been trying to switch that guy from the clips he was using for 5 years and couldn't find the product to do it, and then finally sit, which I think is kind of cool, because it seems so silly because it's a clip. Usually that's not even really in the purchasing decision for anybody. Right. It's like you choose your board, you find, and then it's like, well, what clip do I use?
I forgot to get a fastener.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Fasteners are funny that way, aren't they? Because that it's so true. The homeowner or the end customer is choosing the beautiful deck top, right? How the builder gets there is kind of up to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And so the homeowner doesn't care what kind of hidden fastener there is, or what it looks like, or how easy it goes in. I mean, ultimately they may, because it's going to cost them less if the builder's more efficient with it. But from a decision standpoint, they're not choosing that. You're exactly right. And so you've got to win the installer on that, win the builder.
But even from the contractor's perspective, I don't know that there's been a clip before that had made such an impact that was part of the contractor's decision as to what boards they were going to use.
Right.
Because that absolutely happens now.
Right.
And before it was like, well, I really like X product, so therefore I use their clips. Mm-hmm. Now they're coming in and be like, I love those clips. Who warranties using those clips? Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, this brand sounds good. I'll switch brands then.
And that's
like,
it's crazy, but that's actually happening, right? Mm-hmm. Like your guys' fastener has such a following that people are changing the board they install to work with the fastener. It's like that's how good it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do see that happening.
One of the other, you kind of touched on it a little bit before, but one of the other tools that you guys offer that allows this entire system to be so efficient is the Camo lever tool. Is it lever or lever?
Lever is what
lever.
Lever?
Yeah. But it's also a roof and
is
a roof.
Is it GIF or GIF?
So.
I think soap is lever. And
it's the first board stretcher ever invented.
Yeah. So the Camo lever tool, and I got to change a lot about how I say things.
Yeah. The lever's awesome.
Composite deck boards with the Camo lever tool. This Canadian thing is hard, Greg. It's like a whole new world down here.
Yeah,
these words.
Yeah, you wait till you try and travel from Canada.
So tell us a bit about that. How did you come up with that? Because that's what it does was not a new thing. There was board benders or whatever spreader bars that people were using. So why did you even think the need to?
Yeah, so the lever, what an awesome tool, and it does a couple different things, and we can talk about how it helps with the clip, and I think it's indispensable with clip installs. But just going back to the beginning of where the lever started was as a board bending tool. Back in the, probably 10 years ago in our engineering department, and working with wood material, especially when they're doing edge fastening, you never get a treated deck board that's straight, right?
Well,
So
at the Ultimate Deck Shop you can, but
That's all we carry, actually.
that's all we carry is perfectly straight
and they're all
treated leather.
1 foot long, so they do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
All the crooked ones go somewhere else.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, the experience of working with treated, obviously, like you said, there's other board benders out there that guys have been using. So just in designing a board bender, Roger Vandenberg, who is our lead engineer, developed a tool that could work in a more compact way, work using the joist and stay out of the way of what you're doing on the deck top. So a lot of board benders would come over top of the deck board, and if you're trying to do fastening on that joist position, it gets in the way of what you're trying to do.
Right.
So the lever works off the joist itself, pushing against the side of the deck board, and anything you're doing on top of the deck board or at the joist is uninterrupted. And so from a board bending aspect, that's kind of where it began. But we didn't see a whole lot of value in it for the time. Maybe we were just kind of blind to it, or just busy with other product launches. And so it really wasn't until we developed this clip, the way the clip can stand in position without any fastening, and you can set up row after row of boards to do the install. We said, wait a minute. So somebody's got to eventually hold those boards in position to do that fastening, right? And we said, what if we used the lever for that? It wasn't called the lever at the time, but that came later.
It's called a lever then.
Yeah,
the
you're right,
lever at
just the
first.
lever. Or the heel of
Or
your boot.
that really cool clampy thing. So
I think you missed an opportunity with clampy thing.
clampy thing was on the board
camo
for a while.
foot.
It was taken.
Yeah. And so that really spurred the conversation internally about how do we keep the guys that are having to hold that deck board, or the person that's doing an install by himself, make that easier for him. Hey, they can clamp those boards into position. The boards are spaced by the clip. So they just tighten the boards up with the lever, and then they can go back whether they're working by themselves or if they're working with a crew. The crew can be carrying boards or cutting boards or doing other things on the deck top, and one guy can be fastening all the decking because you just freed up a pair of hands with the lever. And so not only does it do a great job of board bending for guys that are using those wood products, whether it's treated or epay or whatever, and you're trying to get the board in position and be able to fasten it in the right spot, or if you're using our clip system and you want to lock those boards together, it's a multi-purpose tool. And one turn to perfect fastening, something like that. So we have just had great success, and the market's been super kind to us with that tool as they've really adopted that. We're just making hay. They love that tool. So.
I think one of the things too was that your tool was more universal as to what it could grab in the first place. It wasn't just single joist applications. Like it'll work. I don't know if the steel framing was even part of your decision-making process there, that it's got to be able to do 2 inches, but it'd also do a double joist, right?
Double joist, yeah.
And so that is a shortcoming of some of the other tools out there,
Yes,
that they can
right.
grab one joist, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, great. But the way people are building decks nowadays with the double rims or different seam board and board applications, you have lumber tighter together, and you need to be able to grab.
Yeah, great point. And I think in terms of if we had launched that 8-10 years ago, we probably wouldn't have thought of some of those things that we incorporated
Yeah.
into the tool now. And steel framing was not a thing yet, 10 years ago. And so when we were building the final designs on that tool, we did accommodate steel framing. We did accommodate double joist because those things exist on the deck, and we thought about those things ahead of time. So, yeah, that's an excellent point.
You guys mentioned earlier the stainless steel lineup that you've kind of, I don't know what the right word is, but kind of have a new approach or a...
Yeah, so I think, exciting for us, one of our launches this year, aside from the clip drive tool, was our new, kind of a relaunch, but a real expansion of our business in stainless steel. And so there's a tremendous amount of opportunity on the coast, of course, for using the right type of stainless steel. And a lot of people aren't even aware that there's different alloys in stainless steel. They think, oh, it's stainless steel, I can use this here. But marine grade versus your standard 305 stainless steel versus your 410, which can be heat treated and hardened type of stainless steel. There's big differences. There's differences in corrosion resistance between those. And so we started down this path of we want to grow our stainless business. We think there's a lot of messaging that doesn't happen in the field that we can help lead the way on in terms of building better and using the right products in the field. So if you're building on the coast, don't use a 305 screw, use a 316. And with fasteners in general, people like to cut the corners on where they can save money. And deck building is one of those places where you can build have people building $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 decks and beyond, but they want to save $100 and use a lesser fastener, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
but
isn't that the craziest thing?
It's the craziest thing.
You end up in an argument with somebody about the fastener they're going to use, and it's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
How is this
This
the
is
one?
literally holding your deck together. You're holding your 40 grand together here. Maybe you spend the extra $50 on fasteners. That might be a good idea.
Yeah.
So anyway, so what we wanted to do is improve our offering. So we've expanded our line in terms of camo. We've expanded our size offering in terms of some different alloys that we offer. So 305 and 316 and the full gamut, really with a focus on deck fastening or any exterior project fastening in that. At the same time, we relaunched on the National Nail side, the ProFit side, we relaunched our stainless offering there with new breadth of line as well and new alloys. So for collated nails and hand drive nails, as well as the camo screws, it's just been a company-wide expansion of that program. So we're excited. We've got new messaging so we talked about messaging and delivering that build better message. We've got that on the packaging. So at the same time, we repackaged everything. So we've got some really super cool packaging that really pops on the shelf for the dealers and attracts attention. And at the same time, delivers that build better message. So make sure they're buying the right fastener for the application.
That's cool that you guys are always looking to improve upon something that probably the average person didn't think needed improving on. I mean, that could even apply to the camo edge clip, to be honest. Nobody was, like, they might have been complaining, but nobody was like, somebody should do a better clip. It was just like, it was what it was.
They were just saying, this is a pain in the butt.
Right. But for you to even go after like your stainless steel on it and be like, this needs some attention now too. Yeah. There's a quote out there that I really like about, it's better for you to put yourself out of business and let somebody else do it for you. And you guys seem to really have that thing where it's like, hey, we have this product, but we're okay with cannibalizing that or letting that go away and release something that's just a little bit better before somebody else does.
Absolutely.
You guys know firsthand that somebody might just decide to do it a little bit better because that's what you've done for a lot of years, right? So it's cool to have that attitude.
Absolutely. You see that happening. Go ahead, Wayne. Sorry.
So do you think that the reason you guys have taken a run at the stainless steel industry now or with your own product is that the market's primed for that? Like, do you see a bunch of contractors that are ready? You know what I mean? Like they're ready to build
That's
better
a great question.
themselves.
So, I mean, I think we've already talked about the innovation of our clip drive and our edge screws and our edge clips, right? And so what we found is we've got a really good following on the professional level.
Yep.
But what we've also found ourselves with is that there's some stickiness still in how those contractors can buy our stuff.
Gotcha.
You know, I just got a post the other day, a guy in Alaska, hey, I saw your stuff, where can I buy it? Well, I got to figure out a way to make that happen. And so during this journey where we're going into dealers, right? Yep. Saying, hey, there's a contractor base that really wants this product.
Yeah.
What we're finding is that there's also other opportunities. Yep. So stainless steel's being one of those. So there are some parts of the country that are very educated on what grade stainless to use where. Yep. But when we go to the dealer and we talk to the average contractor and they're building a deck around a saltwater pool and they didn't think about using any stainless steel.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Right? Or where there's a lot of snow and they put salt on their deck. They didn't think about using a stainless steel fastener. And so there's a great opportunity for us to not only increase some shelf space at the dealer on a product that maybe they were in kind of with a couple of different vendors, and now we're giving them innovation. And we're saying, oh, by the way, let us help you out on your stainless steel.
Yeah, and I think that's important when you go to dealers and you take that information and support them because, so like, with our location, there's a million SKUs, not a million, it's like 3,748 or something like that. But like there's a lot of SKUs and every single vendor has a reason that SKU should be there, right? And sometimes what happens is you forget about a product line or you don't know how important it is, right? And so to have you guys show up and be like, listen, you have people asking for this product. You need to change your shelf space. You need to change your offering. It's like, right, yeah, we should do that, you know? So it's good to show up and support the dealers.
Yeah, absolutely. I would go, and one thing just beyond what James said too is we talk a lot about environmental conditions for proper fasteners, and there's material conditions for proper fasteners too. So different fasteners give you different performance attributes, right? So if you're using a carbon screw that's coated for one environment, you know, stainless steel may be a better for that coastal environment. But if you're using a deck product like a PVC product that you know has more linear expansion and contraction, you want a screw that maybe allows for that and
bit
has a little more
softer.
ductility. And
Yeah.
so stainless steel, just as an exact example, stainless steel has always been the best practice with PVC because of that movement in the board. If you're using a carbon screw, whether it's a composite or an edge screw or a face screw, whatever it is, and you have a lot of linear movement, you're putting a lot of more pressure on those fasteners, and they don't like to move.
Yeah.
And so using stainless in that kind of condition is way better. So it's things like that as well. And those types of messages are even harder to get to the end user. They don't understand that, and they need to be helped along with that. So we try to educate a little bit in terms of that as well.
It sounds like you guys think that we should carry 3,754 SKUs. So you've looked at bringing out your new structural fastener line.
39.
39. Okay.
39.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got to put a niner in there.
You guys haven't really played a whole lot in that space before, but now
Right.
what do you have coming that's
We've had
that's
a
gonna address
very small structural offering in terms of camo in the past. And one of the things I think we were sitting out was the needs on the structural side. And so that became really evident to us a few years ago. So the last 2 years or so, we've been working really hard on a really full, comprehensive structural line that covers. And it's also maybe one of the faults of camo, but one of the things we focused on in the beginning was really deck top fastening. And so one of the things we kind of sat out was, what are they doing under the deck? What are they doing for these other exterior applications? What are they doing inside the house that those fasteners carry over to? So I think the new thing for us this year, in terms of that structural offering, is first of all, that breadth of structural offering from deck top to house with all the different applications that use structural in. We're expanding camo, so we're getting off the deck top, we're getting under the deck, we're getting into the house in terms of structural. A new coating process, so we're going to have a fantastic coating on our screw for those exterior projects, so something better than anybody's seen before is going to be awesome. And so I think that's a big push for us. That's what we're working on. Everything being coat approved is a big undertaking, so you go through the design process of the fastener and the coating design, and then you say, all right, and so to be coat approved, we've got to go through all this testing, and then you've got to go through the certification of that testing for coat approval. So it takes a long time. It's been a journey for us, but we're going to be bringing that to market this year. So we're super excited about what we've got coming on that end.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what you guys come forward with, because we nerd out on structural fasteners, but the average homeowner, it's another thing that they don't think anything about. It's like, here's what you're going to use, and then they end up returning and be like, what did you do? Why didn't you use those?
Right.
So we've talked a lot about new products in the last few years, but the one that you guys kind of built the Camo brand on was the old Marksman tool and the Protect screws or the stainless screws for that tool. That's still kicking.
Yeah.
And so is there a future for that thing, or is it slowly kind of?
There's absolutely a future for that. We sell, our Marksman Pro series line. So it's a few tools. It's the Marksman Pro, the Pro X1, and the NV tool. We sell those all over the world, and we do hundreds of thousands of those tools every year still to this day. And so that is still very much a go-to tool for the pro builders that are out there doing different products. And the DIYers, where it's a really inexpensive tool to get into to do their deck project and deliver that hidden fastening that they really want to keep the beauty of the deck intact.
Yep.
And so it's absolutely, we are still pushing forward with that product line. Edge fastening is still a thing. And
It's incredible how many people don't know about that tool, but then when you show them, we have average DIY customers that come in and they think they're just going to face screw a treated deck down. It's like, well, have you looked at this? And so we did a display in our showroom where we've used that edge fastening system, the Marksman tool, to do it. And people will walk up and be like, well, that's incredible. Yeah, I'll do that. Because then it just reduces the slivers. It's just one more pain point that you reduce, right?
Yeah.
It's slivers on your feet.
It's one of those things where you can show them and say, you can show them the old school way, and you can show them the edge fastening way, and you say, why would you do it any other way?
Yeah.
Yes, right? And so it makes the decision very easy for them. And you're right, it's still amazing. We do shows still to this day, 11 years after launching that product, where you still have people that come up and haven't used the tool, they don't know.
Never seen it, never heard of it, right? They think you just
used wood,
invented it.
right? I mean, let's not forget wood's still the dominant board out
Absolutely.
there,
That's
right?
right. That's easy to forget sometimes. I know, Gord Woodbully posted, that's probably 6 months ago now, using the Camo Marksman tool on a cedar deck. And for me scrolling, it was like, well, yeah. But the comment section was just like, oh my God, where did you get that? I just did my deck. Why didn't I know such thing?
Yeah.
It's like, the world doesn't really know about it though. And that's been out for how long?
11 years.
11 years, you said? Yeah. So that's pretty cool that it still it can still wow people, even though it's an old
Right.
innovation that
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think it speaks to, first of all, you got a lot of homeowners that are seeking out for the first time they're going to do a deck, right? And they're seeking out what fastening system to use for the first time, and they're being exposed to that. And you also have, I think, a good thing, you have new builders coming into the industry and learning about these things for the first time as well. So that plays a part. And the other thing is there's so much opportunity out there. There's so many decks being built. I mean, somewhere in just the U.S., I think it's somewhere around 5 million decks a year are built. And so there's just tremendous opportunity, continues to be every year with this product. It's a great industry to be in. So.
That's really cool.
Could you imagine if you could sell all the screws for those? Right?
Exactly.
Like 5 million time.
We're working on
Well,
it.
wait a second.
We're working on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So anything else that you guys wanted to chat about? I know you're excited to go out and see the guys starting to put your decking down with your clips and stuff here too, but any other products or news or camo things and tidbits you want to share with everybody out there?
I think,
There's 65 million people that listen to this, so here's your chance. Shoot your shot.
Wow.
I know it seems
I had no
unbelievable, but I'll
idea
show
it
you
was
the spreadsheet. It's unreal.
got great traction.
Better than I knew, actually.
We've got a couple other new things that we're working on that we're probably 3 or 4 things that we're not ready to talk about yet. We keep pushing forward. And, as soon as you open that can of worms, everybody wants to know when it's going to be here and what it is. And so, we've got to keep some things. But, the important thing is we're always listening and we're always developing. And we've always got a lot of innovation in the hopper that we're working on. And so just look forward to some more good things from us in the future. Yeah.
I'll share one little nugget. How about that?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this
It's
will
a
go
great
this will
fishing
go
spot.
good for you guys. So
This is how you make
we talked about
friends,
this.
Greg.
Yeah, right.
Is that
We
what
talked
we're
about the
doing wrong?
stickiness, right? So we've got this contractor fan base, right? And they want access to our products. And we're learning that, maybe it's okay for us to kind of get into what we would deem as a Me Too business with stainless steel and structural. But we found is that there's still, just like our innovation with our clip drive and our drive tools and our clips, that there's some learning that still needs to go on there. Yep. And I've often found that the easiest way to sell that is to demo it. You mentioned that with edge screws, right?
Yeah.
So when we're looking at this, we're going, okay, well, how can we partner with the right dealer?
Yeah.
Right? To show and tell our story, to tell your story, right? And to share it with the contractor. So in the fall, we'll be launching for a select few dealers across the country and Canada, a merchandising update opportunity.
Okay.
So, how many times you go into a dealer and you see the almond shelves that have been there for 25 years with, a lot of dust. So we're coming up with a new planogram offering a complete fastening solution for stainless, structural. If you're fastening decks with wood, a planogram for that. If you're fastening decks with composite, a planogram for that. And I think that it would be a great partnership to launch it with just a few select partners across the United States.
You'll be happy to know that our almond shelves are only 6.5 years old. So
Is that all? Yeah, well, they're fairly new. So
and they're gray. They're not even almond. So there.
gray looks a lot better than almond.
Absolutely. It does, yeah. Yeah. So that's good. And that's so important, right? Like you say, to partner with people and just make that
we're looking forward to
that
it.
relationship better.
It is like with this industry, you have to be partners the whole way through, right? Like you gotta have a good relationship and think about the dealer because they're in the middle. Like it's gotta make sense for them too, and then down to the contractor. Of course, it needs to make sense. But
And if you're getting the pull through from your contractor, they're telling you what they want, then it's your not job, but it's good if you guys would then get to the dealer level and be like, listen, these guys are asking for it. Because sometimes dealers they're tough to sell to, right?
That's right.
So I already have a lot of inventory and I already have my showroom full. What are we you're gonna take all this away? It's like, well, yeah, or blow it out and we'll help you with that. But it's like you have to change something.
That's right.
do you guys have, given that you're so open to feedback from contractors, do you guys have an avenue for them to provide feedback if some guys, like not that you want to listen to every guy complaining about
What's your
something,
Instagram
but-
handle so they can message you all the time?
Well, we were thinking that you just deal with the questions and bring them to us.
We'll filter it. Yeah, sounds
We'll
good.
filter them. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah,
But serious question: Is there like, does somebody go to your website and just be like, fill out the form and submit ideas? Do you take that kind of feedback from people?
Yes, absolutely. So we do have a presence, not anywhere near what your presence is online. It sounds like, or on YouTube.
Yeah, I just found out how big it is too. So I didn't know it was that
We
far.
have our YouTube channel where we have just tons of videos to help people with the installations and learn about products. We have, Instagram and Facebook, of course, to our social media, and we love to collaborate with builders that are out there using our products and co-promote. And so we get a lot of feedback through those avenues as well. And more importantly, I think being at events like this, doing the shows, investing in the shows where a lot of companies don't want to make the investment, don't know if it's important or not, but it's just really indispensable. The information and the feedback you get from builders in this type of avenue as well. So,
This one's huge, right? Because you're actually face to face with the guys,
Yeah,
and they will
for sure.
tell you.
It's the right
60 of
it's the
these
right
guys
80
out
guys.
here,
Yeah.
they're not going to send you an email.
Yes.
The contractors that are here are not going to fill out a form.
Yeah.
And these guys are guys that care about the craft, and they care about the 5 values that you guys have. They're looking for something more efficient and more
right.
better time.
Yeah, and they care about their business because they've spent some money to get here, right? So, yeah.
Pretty good audience.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay, well, this room is getting pretty filthy in here. I can
have to
smell
change my
all of you at this point. So I want to thank you guys for carving out some time because I know there's a lot of action happening on the other side of that door. So we'll let you get back to that. But thanks for joining us and providing us all the insight. And thanks for the special little tip there that Greg wasn't willing to give us. So we'll
Secret
buy
Greg,
you a
right?
beer later. So thanks for joining. If anybody has any questions for these gentlemen or for Camo feedback in general, sounds like follow you guys on your social profiles, and they're always willing to listen.
Feed them through us because apparently that's part
That's
of
right. We'll be your filter. All right.
Thank you.
Get out of here, Bryce. We got stuff to do. Hit it.
Hey, thank you for listening to the Ultimate Deck Podcast. Now you know what we're about. Check the site, come and shop. UltimateDeckShop.com. Hit us right away for sponsorships or tell us if you want to collaborate. Let's go. Check us out on any social networks. Thank you for listening.